Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all of your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James Shea, flying solo yet again. But it was a good week for wrestling with as we interviewed Shaq Jordan on Tuesday and Rico D. Cannon on Wednesday. Two incredible interviews with two incredible individuals. I cannot recommend those interviews enough. Definitely go check them out if you haven't already. But always looking to the future. This upcoming Tuesday, we have Warsaw, another AAPW alumni. We talk about his gauntlet match, his graduation gauntlet match, I should say. Currently running the company, running the show with the master class. We talk about his multiple tag team partners over the years. The Warsaw title, which has some very interesting rules. We talk about somebody called Battle Blade, and white elephant match that he had. Definitely a lot of interesting things in that interview. And on Wednesday, we have the boy wonder, Kid Lat. We talk about his upcoming shows in Japan, what he's looking forward to doing in Japan. We talk about his rivalry with Damian Gray. We talk about his tag team in Wrestle League. We talk a lot of fantastic things about Kid Lat and his career. You definitely want to go check that one out as well. We talk about him getting stung by bees on a pretty terrible trip, if I'm being honest. We talk about the superhero colors, superheroes, even from football. So yeah, definitely check that out on Wednesday. And then on the 25th, we have Mo Kelly. So definitely go check out our social media for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more at Wrestling with E. Alright, now that we're done putting ourselves over, never done putting ourselves over, James. Um, it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And fresh off the presses, Randy Orton has turned heel on Cody Rhodes. Randy will be the bad guy in his match against Cody at WrestleMania. I talked about this last week on the show. Randy Orton is grandfathered in. Randy Orton is one of those guys that could decapitate somebody in the middle of the ring, and the crowd would go cuckoo bananas for it. So, for the second year in a row, WWE is doing Cody Rhodes no favors by putting him in a position that's a no-win for him. Because if he wins, the crowd will boo. If he loses, the crowd will still boo him. People want to see Randy Orton get that 15th title, and they really don't care how he does it. If you watched SmackDown last night, the crowd was cheering. The crowd was chanting Randy, and the crowd popped for a heel turn. The crowd is not supposed to pop for a heel turn. They're supposed to boo. And they cheered loudly. So this is just another ill-conceived plan by WWE that is not going to help them in the long run. Drew McIntyre quit and then got rehired in the matter of the whole of the span of the 3 hour SmackDown. He's wrestling Jacob Fatu next week on the show. I'm assuming that's going to lead to some type of stipulation match at WrestleMania. Uh, which brings us to Brock Lesnar's match at WrestleMania. Um, Monday he'll be in the building, and whether you believe the rumor and innuendo or not, uh, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar has pitched um, that Brock Lesnar should not lose another match until he retires. Okay, well, when is he retiring? Because there doesn't seem to be any views that Brock Lesnar is going to be retiring anytime soon. I mean, he's not exactly in the twilight of his career. Oh, he's old man Brock, can't barely get people up for an F5 anymore. It wouldn't surprise me if Paul, pitched it, but for WWE, Paul, the other Paul, Triple H, to actually, take it under consideration, I think that's kind of crazy if I'm being honest. Brock, putting Brock against newer talent, yes, it's going to shine a spotlight on them because they're wrestling one of the biggest stars WWE has to offer. But I dare say that it would do them better justice to get a pin on a Brock Lesnar than take an L to a Brock Lesnar. I would say context is king for, all of these matches. Like, what is, you know, how do they handle Brock Lesnar? Do they kick Brock Lesnar's ass? Do they, and then Brock, skips out with a win? Things like that. That even in defeat, they got a W. I mean, Cody wasn't as much of a maiden man as he was when Brock literally raised his hand at SummerSlam after what? Cody Rhodes pinned Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, Brock can take a pin. And Brock can sell for people if he wants to. He's one of the best that they got at that. But people are speculating that because of this new, in quotations, stipulation, it's going to be hard to put him up against a Gunther or a Obafemi because obviously you don't really want to beat those guys, but Brock doesn't really want to lose to those guys. And that's why they pitched LA Knight, but nobody really gives a shit about an LA Knight match against Brock Lesnar. So, it's just a clusterfuck of what the fuck at this point, unfortunately. So I mean, you could put Obafemi against Brock Lesnar, and Brock could beat Oba, I would say. I think Oba could take an L to Brock Lesnar. But outside of that L from Brock Lesnar, how do you rebuild Obafemi? I think you can still do it. It should be okay. But obviously that mystique is gone because he lost to Brock Lesnar. Honestly, I think Gunther just outright should beat um Brock. I mean, he needs to take the mantle at some point. But I think that they're limiting what Brock Lesnar can do or should do. I don't think that's the best thing right now. I think that it would be a good idea to put him against Oba or Gunther. I don't think it's a good idea to put him against LA Knight. I mean, you could put him against LA Knight for sure, but I think LA Knight should win. I don't think it does LA Knight any favors to actually lose to Brock. Any of those guys could recover from a loss from Brock Lesnar, but it would do them even bigger wonders to actually get over on Brock. And I think that they're doing everybody a disservice because of that. Speaking of WrestleMania, um, it was announced that the first hour of WrestleMania Night 1 and 2 will be on ESPN. So I'm assuming that's on live, TV. Or the apps. I don't fucking know at this point. Does anybody actually have live TV at this point? Um, so yeah, basically the first hour of WrestleMania is a pre-show, and then the extra 3 hours is, the main show. But then there will be a pre-show, before the pre-show, and then the actual show. And then there'll be an after show. And then an after dark show. Ooh la la. And then they start the pre-show, then the pre-show, and then another pre-show, and then the super pre-show, and then the actual show, and then the pre-show during the actual show. It's just a vortex of pre-shows at this point. But yeah, they're saying that WWE is looking to capitalize on these pre-shows or this first hour to get eyes on them. But I feel like if you're literally at the final minutes and hours, whoever sitting their ass to watch WrestleMania is already going to fucking be there. They're not going to get any new people to jump on in the final hour. I don't know if this is a ESPN call just to try and get more eyes, or to get more people to sign up for their crappy app, or if this is a WWE call. I would say it's more of an ESPN call. I mean, they have the right to stream it however they want. WWE is just getting paid at this point. But, yeah, it just seems like it's just been what's the word? A turbulent relationship between ESPN and WWE ever since they started, teaming together for the PLEs. If you listen to or read the reviews that ESPN gives on WWE PLEs, then you've noticed that they've dropped the letter grade for the PLEs. WWE said that it doesn't matter to them, but if it didn't matter to them, it would still be a thing on that ESPN. They obviously had issues with it, and like I said, there's been issues between the two of them. It would not surprise me if this partnership um, ended sooner than the allotted contract time. But when it does if it does end during the contract time, I don't see WWE staying with ESPN at the end of it. Then you have also happening on Monday Night Raw, the Judgment Day turned on Finn Balor. I think it's kind of time to just put the the nail, the final nail in the Judgment Day coffin, they're not necessarily as over as they've been. There are they were a top tier faction, then they were a second tier faction, and now they're a third tier faction. I think it's time just to kind of cut the cord on that. I think it's kind of weird how a year ago they were setting up Finn Balor to be the breakout heel, and now 1 year later, Dom remains a heel, and Finn Balor is the breakout face. Whether that sticks, I don't entirely know. Because Dom is pretty over as a heel. I think it's the smart move to keep him heel, because that's kind of where he drives, honestly. But because the people like him as a heel, are they going to jump ship for Balor, who was a face, didn't really get over as a face, and then, turns heel, doesn't really get over as a heel either. You know, he essentially little buddy to Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, just to turn face again. I mean, there wasn't that much fanfare to it. So, I mean, he has a better chance under Triple H to do it, 100%. But if he actually does it, it has yet to be seen. So, I suppose we shall see. Um, Now this is actually no. Let's go with Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee supposedly done with WWE for the time being. Um, which is a shame. He was good on commentary. He had an exuberance to him that commentary desperately needed, and something that Michael Cole needed desperately during that time as well. So I mean, his contributions are fantastic. I wonder if it's not necessarily that he was, as he said at the time, burnt out, but maybe more on the lines of not necessarily liking who he's working for. So, I mean, think of it this way. Pat McAfee got over in the Vince McMahon era. Pat McAfee wrestled on a WrestleMania where Vince McMahon was still in charge. Pat McAfee wrestled Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. So, and then I won't even call it WrestleMania 39, not a Vince McMahon WrestleMania. It was still kind of Vince McMahon at that point, but 40 100% was not a Vince McMahon WrestleMania. So, I mean, the guy that you liked, the guy that you got along with, the guy that gave you that platform, is no longer there. I'm not saying that he has issues with Triple H or that there might be beef there, but maybe he doesn't necessarily get along with Triple H as much as he got along with Vince McMahon. And maybe his enthusiasm for doing commentary kind of deflated because he was under he was under Triple H's thumb, and Vince McMahon kind of let him do whatever he wanted to. That's purely speculation on my part. I'm sure if Pat wanted to come back, he would be brought back with open arms. And I'm sure that every now and again we'll see a pop up from Pat McAfee. So I wouldn't be so too upset about it. I know some people didn't necessarily like Pat. Some people might actually be celebrating that he's not there. But again, I did thought he brought an excitement and exuberance that you didn't necessarily get from, your everyday run of the mill commentators. On to um some bad news, terrible news even. I'm not sure if this was yesterday or the day before. It was not too long ago. A show for OVW that was recorded during the I believe this was the main event match. Um, the referee did a spot and got had a seizure in the middle of the ring. Um, for context, for anybody that hasn't seen it, um, the heel, the heel was um he put the referee in his way while the face was diving off of the top rope. The face may have put a lot more got more connection with the referee than I would say would be comfortable. Um the referee kind of lays flat in the ring. One might say he was selling. And the match kind of goes on. I will say that the whoever the face was, he did check on the referee right after it happened, making sure he's okay. Um, I'm sure he got some indication that he was okay, or he would have responded appropriately. Um, they start wrestling again. The referee is I would like to say selling. Um, and then they're wrestling on top of him, and then as the match continues, he starts, having an episode. I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but yeah, it was not good. Um, the crazy part is they kind of see this happening, the wrestlers, and they're continuing the match. Whoever the heel was, he then decided to push the referee out of the way to the side as he's having this episode and tries to continue the match. Um, they went on for like maybe another 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and just kind of stopped completely as the referee got medical attention. And unfortunately, that's how they ended the segment. Maybe that's how they ended the show as well. I don't know. But yeah, it was a very uncomfortable sight in an OVW ring. Now, there's a lot of, obviously a lot of people have a lot of speculations on this. I will first and foremost say that the referee is okay. Um, he is, well, maybe okay is not the best way to say it, but he is conscious, he is stable, but they are keeping his medical condition under wraps at this point. But they did say that he did suffer some type of um, brain injury. So we don't necessarily know exactly what happened there. Um, I don't blame the wrestler that got in the that hit him, the face. I think that you know these are professionals. It's not ballet. Accidents happen. I'm assuming they knew what their role in that spot was. Maybe he overshot it. Maybe he undershot it. Maybe he wasn't expecting to have that much contact. I don't know. But I do think that, there was no malicious intent there. It was just a legitimate accident. And I think he did do the right thing by checking on the referee first. That being said, the heel in that match, who I'm being told was the veteran in the match, the guy with the longest tenure out of all four guys in the tag. It was a tag team match. They continue the match, and he literally pushes him out of the way as this guy is having a seizure. You don't know what he actually had. You don't know what's happening in that moment. And you kick him out of the way? Like, legitimately, like, fuck you. Like, that's disgusting. And you could have, whatever he had going on, could have made it a lot worse by moving him. He did the wrong thing. He was not. I get that he wanted to, finish the match, but that was not the way to go about it. It could have been handled properly, it could have been handled correctly. And I feel like this person that was going to be would essentially be the person in charge at this point, because obviously the referee is the orchestra of all of this. He's supposed to make sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to. He's not, you know, he's not able to. It goes to the next person in charge, which is the person that has the longest time in the ring. And he did this guy dirty. They sort of, when they saw what was actually happening, I don't care what your facade is, I don't care what kayfabe is, stop everything. Get this guy the, the proper medical treatment that he needs. Get him out of the ring, and then go from there. If you got time to continue the match, by all means go for it. But if nobody's necessarily feeling it, then maybe it's time just to cut this show short. My opinions on that matter. That being said, a place that we wish had shorter matches. AEW. They announced that they will be doing a digital platform, an a la WWE Network gimmick. I would say that I'm necessarily mad about it. Um, for $7 or $8, you get all of their live shows, AEW paid previews. No, AEW no, Ring of Honor paid previews, and Ring of Honor TV, and some back catalog as well. Um, Not necessarily a bad deal there. For $20 a month, you get all the you get that month's AEW's paid preview, weekly shows, obviously Collision, Dynamite, Ring of Honor TV, and the back catalog for paid previews and current paid previews and all of that good stuff. So I mean, it's not necessarily a bad deal. I mean, you get all AEW content for $20, whereas WWE for $30 you only get the PLEs. Or if you're on Netflix, you only get Raw. Or if you have, normal TV, just SmackDown. I think that this is a really good platform and a really good, you know, dynamic for them. I do hope that they kind of adjust prices, um, to be a little bit more fan friendly. Um, but yeah, I mean, if they could actually pull this off and that their, hub, um, their interface is good and solid, and is user friendly, I can't imagine that they wouldn't make a lot of money on this. So, um, a real W for AEW. That being said, Dave Meltzer has said that the AEW is closing the gap. With what, I don't exactly know. Um, Closing the gap with WWE, which I mean is hilarious at this point, because I wouldn't say that they're getting higher on the totem pole. I would say the WWE is lowering themselves on the totem pole. So it's not saying much. And I mean, obviously WWE WrestleMania, not doing well ticket wise right now but I still can't imagine that they're not going to turn a profit on that show. Um, while AEW struggles to sell out 20,000 seat arenas, or 15,000, or even 12,000 at this point, their paid previews do well. More people go to those and they do sell out quite well. But your random dynamites and collisions don't necessarily sell that well. If that was the case, they wouldn't be in smaller venues um up until this point. And they would be going into bigger arenas for your random collisions and dynamites if they were picking up steam, or they was actually, as Dave Meltzer said, closing the gap. So, I mean, maybe they're closing Gap stores with their crappy merchandise. I don't know, but they're definitely not closing the gap between them and WWE. Um, One bit of interesting news: Tyra Mae Steele's, Olympic gold medalist, winner of LFG season one. Um, it was reported. I don't want to say. I mean, it was mentioned by her in a tweet or a statement. I don't necessarily know that she went to do a amateur wrestling tournament to win that. She did win it. And that she came back to WWE uh only to come to realize that she had been released by the company. WWE's statement was that Tyra Mae Steele was never released, and then Tyra made a retraction that um no, she's with WWE, and she she plans to be there for a very long time, or as long as her contract is still good. Whatever comes first. I don't know what this is about, but maybe they're trying to get some traction on Tyra May. I think Tyra May could be a really big star for them if Tyra May could just get her head out of her ass, honestly. She sees herself and perceives herself in one way, and she needs to be presented in a different way. And if she actually does that, and and take if she goes the Kurt Angle route and not necessarily take herself too seriously, she will be on the level of a Kurt Angle. I hope that this is just, speculative, and, them trying to cause a bit of a stir. But, if she's making things problematic, then I would say that that's not necessarily a good thing either. You know, you want somebody, you want people that are easy to work with and not necessarily be a problem. And she's not necessarily in big, a major position to be a problem for WWE, if that makes sense. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with her. Alright, that will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.